So we're gonna bring this meeting to order. This is the Historic District Commission Town of Fairfield in-person meeting. Today is January 29th, 2026. The notice of this hearing was published on the website. Let's go ahead and take attendance. Darren Raymond Locke, here. Present. Jim Akmondo.
Present.
Maura Garrick.
Present.
And I'm Rosina Negron. Absent today are Art Gravanis, George Clark, Jim Bohan, and Greg Valente. Everyone that's here, it's gonna be participating in the discussion. The first item on the agenda is Sean and Lenore Dweck.
Yes.
Thank you, 776 Pequot Avenue for a property located at 776 Pequot Avenue. Is there anyone here to present this pre-application?
Good afternoon. This is Sean Dweck. I'm the homeowner, and I appreciate you folks taking the time to listen to the pre-application and what we're hoping to do, provided that we can meet all of the town's requirements. Is there a way to share my screen with you?
Yes, you should be able to click at the bottom of WebEx. It says share.
Got it.
And hopefully you can do.
Okay. Are you able to see that now?
Yes.
Okay. So we have, we live at 776 Pequot. It's on right across from a vacant, preserved area that's across our catty corner from the Pequot Library. We've been there for about 4 years. We had one experience with the Historic Commission when we wanted to replace a fence along the front and to put some fencing up on the side. What we propose to do is to install an 8x10 a plunge pool or dipping pool. I'm not sure what the correct terminology is, but it's been referred to as a plunge pool. And the proposed location is the box that's here in yellow. I don't know if you can all see that.
You maybe enlarge it a little bit.
Can you
Yeah.
also flip it 90
Yeah.
degrees?
I can do both. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's better.
Okay, so this is the house here. This is a flagstone patio here, which is pre-existing. And then there is a stone wall that's maybe a foot or two here, and two stone walls, one here and one here. And this is an open grass area, as well as all of the area over here is open grass. And then alongside here is a fence that was before the commission maybe a year or two ago. It's a white wood fence that goes all the way up to the curb, basically. And then this is Pequot Avenue over here.
That's the map that's here.
Yeah, I also have the, I can just for frame of reference, this is the actual survey that's on file with the town. Just to kind of give you an idea in terms of where things are. So this is where the proposed pool would go. This is where the existing fence is. And then this is Pequot Avenue over here. Alongside Pequot Avenue are from the start of our driveway all the way up to the end of our property line is completely covered with large evergreen trees. And then going back to the other drawing, so the proposed pool would go here. It would have an 8x10 spa, they're calling it a spa, with an auto cover. It's completely rectangular. And then the proposed location for the equipment pad would be over here, which is covered by shrubbery. And we would, as we had more plans prepared, that would all be, part of the plan. We've reached out to the different departments within the town. So we've reached out to the to planning and zoning. we've reached out to engineering, to obviously to you, and then to the building department, just to get some preliminary information about what hurdles we may need to, overcome in order to have this done. It appears that we need to have a minimum of a 40-foot setback from the property line along Pequot Avenue. And I did a rough measurement myself, and it looks like we will be within that. But once we have the actual drawings from the surveyor and from the engineer from the pool company, we will, be able to confirm that. If not, they said we would likely need a variance for whatever the difference is. And so, we've signed a contract with the pool company. Obviously, we need to make sure that we, are in compliance if we're going to be able to do this before we spend a whole lot more money. So we've reached out to the survey company and advised them what we were planning on doing. And, their suggestion was, do the preliminary meeting with the Historic Commission, see what comments or suggestions or requirements that you may have, and then we can go back to them, discuss it, and, kind of prod our way through each of the departments to make sure that we can meet the requirements.
Okay. How tall is that post and rail fence?
I think it's 6 feet.
The one along Pequot? Is it?
Pequot, well, the fence that's along the property line, I should have popped up the one from when we put the fence up, but let me just pull up the survey. So over here is a 6-foot fence that goes up to the driveway. It's a white wood fence, and there are 2 doors that open up so our landscapers can get in when, with their equipment. And then along Pequot Avenue, there is just some mesh fencing that's hidden inside the bushes just to keep our dogs, so our dogs don't, go off the property. And then in front of the fencing, closer to Pequot, are the evergreen trees. And so I think one of the comments that I received from somebody was that you can't have it can't be visible from the street. And I don't think that would be the case here. But, obviously
We can't take landscaping into account. So those trees, we have to consider, can we see the pool if those trees weren't there?
So the short answer would be yes. And then, that's fine. What we can do as part of the proposal is to have the wood fencing come out as far as necessary so that the pool would not be visible to the street if the trees were not there.
So you'd extend the fencing that's by the bottom of your driveway down Pequot? Or my
Yes.
misunderstanding, sorry.
No, you're correct. But what we would, we'd have to talk with the landscape architect or whoever would design it. But I think aesthetically, for our purposes and for the town's purposes, that any fencing that we put up would be closer to our property so that really when anybody's walking down Pequot Avenue, all they really still see are the trees, but the fencing is there.
So it'd be behind the tree line.
Yes.
So that was Darren Raymond Locke
Sorry.
asking questions.
Sorry.
Jim, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Maura, do you have anything?
Just thinking through the tree line, the fences, and where the pool is, do you have a guess of the closest point of the pool to the road? Like when you say you think it's inside the 40 feet, what do you have any ideas?
So roughly, yes. When I did my rough measurement, so if we go back to the original, the drawing with the colors on it. So this is what this area here of the pool is closest to Pequot. And my measurement would be that from here, which is the closest edge of the pool to Pequot, up to before the sidewalk starts on Pequot would be 40 or more feet.
It would be 40 or more feet.
That, I say that's an estimate because I have to leave those measurements to the experts. But when I went out there with the long rolling tape measure to see if we'd be within that 40 feet parameter, it seems as though we would be. And that would be the part of the pool that's closest to Pequot.
Okay. And then the fence that's there is like a stockade, the 6-foot one.
Yes.
Would it be the intention to continue the same type of fencing?
Truth be told, I don't know. I don't know whatever requirements obviously you folks have, we'd want to comply with, but I don't know aesthetically what would look best, whether it would be the same type of fence and just continuing it along, or maybe something different. But so I don't know is the short answer.
And I think that's valid. I mean, my only thought is normally, stockade is usually more in the back of people's houses as opposed to in the front. And usually the front is more decorative. So I do think when you eventually come in, it would be useful, the type of fence, so we can actually see how that's going to be.
Sure.
Like the combination with the green, the fence. Because what we wouldn't want, I think it would be hard for us if it was just a big white stockade fence going down Pequot. So it would just,
Yeah.
you have all the right intentions. I'm just trying to bring that up.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, because I do think it might look a little strange to have just a long, tall fence along the road. So, something decorative. Just out of curiosity, did you have in mind something like, I know in the historic area, there's a lot of houses that have fences in the front that are, they have slats in them so you can actually see through. Would this need to be enclosed?
That's, I think, a challenge for us. Because you're right, it usually is picket or something more open in the front.
Be a continuation of what he's got.
Yeah, but that wouldn't create enough of a
Also,
barrier.
it would also matter if that plunge pool spa is proud of the ground or set into it.
True.
My expectation is that it's going to be set into the ground,
Okay, so it'll be,
So that's going to help.
that's going to help significantly.
because just for understanding purposes, the flagstone patio that's here, there are 3 steps here that go down, and the intention is to keep those steps so that the pool would be built into the ground, so it wouldn't be raised up.
Right.
Which I think would help in terms of a fence that wouldn't need to be so drastic.
And it would help, it also help because the pool requirement, I think, for zoning is 4 feet, right?
I'm not sure.
I think that's normally for protection for children. I think it's 4 feet, so.
Okay.
Also, if you are planning on putting a fence, if the fence is, let's say, a solid fence, we wouldn't have to review the plunge pool because it will be no longer visible from the right of way. What will be visible is the fence itself.
So our big thing is just with the commission would be a fence that's suitable to the commission, that is, decorative and meets the style of the neighborhood in general.
If you go the route of having a fence, yes.
Which you have to if you're gonna have a pool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have any other choice. We don't, that's in meeting with the pool people, I think that's the only place that we're going to be able to put it, because while over here is more in the backyard, number one, it's still along Pequot, and number two, we have a little stream that runs over here. So we're going to need to speak with the wetlands folks to make sure that we're within their guidelines, whether we need to have additional, plantings for drainage or, things of that nature. But this really is the only viable spot.
Any other comments or questions? Do you have any other comments or questions for the commission?
No, I just, I appreciate your time. This is a little bit of a process. Frankly, I don't know if most folks hire somebody to do this or if they try to do it on their own, or a combination of both. But I appreciate the pre-meeting because I would hate to spend a whole ton of money then to find out that we just can't do it. But I got you loud and clear in terms of the fence, and if the pool's into the ground, which I believe that it is, then we just need to try to pick something out that might be appropriate. And I guess my question also would be, if we picked out some fencing that we thought might be appropriate, would the next step in this process be to actually put it together into a plan, or would we be able to make like a pre-presentation, kind of like what we're doing today, just to see, hey, this is along the lines of what we would go with?
You're welcome to do another pre-application for the fence if you feel comfortable with.
And you can
Yeah,
also look at the handbook will give you some description of the general kind of perspective on it.
Yeah, I learned the hard way when we put up our fence because,
We remember.
oh God, it cost me an arm and a leg. And the fence guy who claimed he knew, the historic district and everything, well, that turned out not to be the case. That was a $5,000 mistake on my part, but lesson learned. That's why we're here.
In terms of presentation, when you come for the public hearing, you're welcome to present yourself. You don't have to have a third party presenting for you.
Okay, excellent. All right. Well, I think you definitely shed a lot of light for me, so I know what we need to do and what questions I need to ask the pool design people, and hopefully we'll be back to you in short order.
Thank you.
And thank you for letting us appear virtually. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Have a good day.
You too. The next item is SF Station Street LLC for 65 Station Street for a property located at 65 Station Street, Southport, Connecticut. Is there anyone here to present this application? This pre-application?
Yeah, Chair, members of the commission, Chris Russo with Russo and Rizzi LLC, here on behalf of the pre-applicant. I'll turn this over pretty quickly over to David Ball. I'm sure you all remember this from last month. This is a proposal for a new office building at 65 Station Street. There were some comments at the hearing, and we kind of went back to the drawing board to address them. Obviously this is not the full application, so there's more comments that I would address in the actual application, but we wanted to take this opportunity to show you some of our redesign based on the comments received. So with that, I'll turn it over to David to go over those changes. David?
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Number
Yes.
one. And number two, can you see my screen?
Yes.
I'm going to give myself an A+. So I'll walk you through this relatively quickly. Starting with the building, there was comments about the front entrance. It was a double gable. Actually, I've got a close-up view of that. And we reconfigured that part of the building so that now it is a single gable, and also introduced some of the other elements that we talked about. So for example, we've got the windows have a sloped, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I apologize, my mouse is acting up, but we have the windows with the, I'll call it a gable head to it, and look carefully at that. And then, we added gutters and downspouts. We added the exterior lights, and also the circle vent. And the one thing I'll point out is at the front entrance, we did add a trim piece similar to the original building as it's been reconfigured over the many, many years at just that part of the facade. We did not do it on the sides of the building. We'd be happy to, but we actually like this. The proportions are good. They feel a lot like the original building. And the side is feels a little bit more barn-like, which was some of what we were dealing with in the prior design. So this gives you a sense of the overall building with the revised front entrance. I'll scroll through the rest of the presentation, which is very similar to what you had seen in the past. The various views around the building. The footprint of the building, we kind of pushed and pulled that one element, so it's exactly the same square footage as what was there before. We added a few historical pictures, so we did dig up the pictures from the Northrop brothers, which is the one on the left here. And then we have some of the other ones, of that we had sort of handed out in the meeting the other day. And then there was so here's the floor plan. This is all squared off now. It really doesn't change the floor plan in any meaningful way. The roof plan, the same. The elevations, this is the front entrance in straight elevation. Bear with me with my mouse, but hold on. So that's the basic, pure proportions of that front entrance. And then, the other elevations, aside from the windows and the gutters and a few other things, have not changed much. We did add a page of what the dumpster enclosure will look like, and it's really meant to be in character with the remainder of the site. So it's the same vertical painted cedar siding, painted wood trim, kind of barn doors at accessing the material. And then there was a handful of other questions. One was, how does this compare to the church height? So we went out to the site. The photographs on the right was taken roughly last week. You can tell because there's not a foot of snow on the ground, but the height of the church, the main gable of the church, not the steeple, is approximately 59 feet. The height of our building, per the zoning regulations, midway up the gable, is 26.4. So it's roughly half the height of the church. And if you add the full height of the gable, it's another 4 feet. So it's 30 feet versus 60 feet. And we just don't believe that this will be visible from the street. We took a picture in between the church and the house to the side towards the site, and you really, even in the winter time, there's a number of evergreens there, and I know you don't consider trees as far, you want the architecture to be right, but we just don't believe this is an issue. And then, beyond that, that's most of what we're presenting as a change to the drawings. There was a number of other issues that came up in the meeting, which I'll talk a little bit about. We're working with a civil engineer. Ideally, the site is not that sloped. And ideally, we can eliminate the retaining wall. If there is a retaining wall, we will present that to you properly. We'll have to have a reinforced concrete base to it, but then we will put a veneer stone on it. And the height of that wall will be 2 or 3 feet. It's not a very high wall. And we're working with the landscape architects to clean up the landscaping plan, just to give you a sense of what we're up to. And it's a lot about, it's very nice landscaping around the building. And then along the perimeter neighboring properties, we will have lots of screen planting. In the last meeting, somebody brought up, we had one image of a stockade fence. That was meant, that's an existing fence and it's on the neighbor's property to the south. That was just to give a sense of the views from surrounding the property. And we've since eliminated that. And I just wrote down notes in the last meeting. So there was some comment about an ADA sidewalk, an accessible sidewalk. And this building will be fully accessible. So I'm not quite sure what that was about. We are going to have a tree survey done by a licensed arborist. And then there was also discussion about reducing parking, and we would love to do that, but the zoning regulations are not yet resolved on that. So if they get resolved in a reasonable amount of time, you know, we certainly would look at eliminating parking spaces. So that is basically the presentation, and certainly looking forward to comments and questions.
Okay, thank you. The one thing I'm gonna make a comment is that the meeting was an in-person meeting. If in the future you guys opt not to be in person, it will be nice to let all of the commissioners know. Darren, do you have any questions?
You can come back to me. I'm putting my thoughts in order.
Jim, do you have any questions?
No, I like the improvements and the adjustments.
Laura?
I also like the improvements. Just for me to catch up, because last time was my first time seeing this project. Where is the retaining wall going to be, David?
It will be on the site, bear with me, along this edge. So the site slopes downwards a little bit, it's 2 or 3 feet from here to here. If you can see my cursor.
So that's going towards the church. So the church
Correct.
is,
That would be the church parking lot. Yep.
and how big would the retaining wall be?
It's a couple feet high. It's not substantial.
Okay, yes, because that is a pretty flat property.
It's pretty flat. And what I'm trying to do with the engineers is see if we, you know, if we could lower the building foot or so and lower the parking with it and figure out how to do it in a way that we don't need a wall there.
Okay, so just on retaining walls, so on the other side towards, is that still railroad on the other side, towards the railroad tracks? So you kind of have a bit of a hill or a berm that comes up. Is that just going to stay that way?
Yeah, that'll stay the way it is. We'll clean that up off property, but that, you know, maybe do a little bit of planting, but that will stay the way it is.
Okay, and then on the parking, this isn't us, but just because the question was raised. When you guys do parking, is there any way to do like your asphalt and then do certain ones that aren't as permanent in case you could eliminate them? Or,
It's possible, you know, or do like an impervious, you know, they have grass block or other products like that that let water go through them, but that's possible. But our preference is, it sounds like this parking reduction thing is not that far away. It would be ideal if that could get resolved and we could act on it.
of course, Okay, I'm gonna let the questions keep going.
I think it's an improvement. My main question was also the retaining wall, so.
Yeah, it would, again, it would be along this edge here.
Yep.
And my preference is to not do it, but let's see how it goes.
Okay.
And if it is, you know, again, it's 2 or 3 feet max height. So it won't be, you know, a big thing, but we would have to do, like I said, a reinforced concrete wall just because it's holding back dirt. You really can't count on a dry stone wall to do that. And then we would face it with stone.
So they've asked most of my questions now. Rosina, at the last meeting, I feel like there was a comment about some sort of throughway between the church's property and this property. Do you remember that? There was some pathway they were talking about that was going to be very narrow.
We were talking about how close this was gonna be to the driveway.
Okay.
That's the church that, and And I went,
That retaining wall not being there potentially would eliminate a lot.
but there's still, I went and looked at the site. There's room.
Yeah.
The church, there's enough room.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No question.
I think unless you have other questions or comments for the commission?
I don't, Chris.
No, I don't. Thank you for your time on this. Appreciate it.
No, I
Okay.
appreciate everybody's input, and I think it's a better building because of it.
It has just a very different, a nice feeling, you know, it's funny, just those little changes make, it just changes it a lot.
I agree, and it
Yeah.
The
I
windows.
kinda like the way it sort of bookends between, you know, the sort of bar-like structures in between, so it's a good reference to the two.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, everybody.
The next item is Rose Hill on Harbor LLC, 385 Harbor Road, Southport, Connecticut, for a property located at 385 Harbor Road. Is there anyone here to present this pre-application?
Yes, Chair, members of the commission, Chris Russo again with Russo and Rizzio here on behalf of the applicant. I have Bob Tucker with me. Bob, I don't know if you're able to share, if you could start sharing your deck and go to
Sure.
the site plan. So this is one that has not been before you yet. It's 385 Harbor Road. So we're on the harbor side of Harbor Road with this application. This is a property with a beautiful single-family dwelling. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it. It was built in 1854. I've had the pleasure of being inside this home. It's just as gorgeous inside as it is on the outside. And property has a detached accessory cottage slash garage. There's a lot of beautiful landscaping throughout this property. It's a rather large one, and with some grades, you know, that drop pretty significantly down to the harbor. We're here asking for an addition to that detached building. My clients have recently purchased this property, and they see themselves as stewards of this property. They know how special it is, and they've taken a lot of care with its design to fit in with what's currently there. So again, they're proposing an addition aiming to preserve the existing architectural elements and really be in line with the current design, and making an addition that really, and I think you'll see it in the photos, is secondary to the main center of this structure. We also know that the district extends out to the harbor. So we've made sure to take care on all sides of the elevations, not just the Harbor Road side, but also from the actual harbor itself. It's a proposal that's fully compliant with the zoning regulations. Really, you know, it's a large site. There's a substantial amount of coverage and FAR available on this site, even after with the addition. But you know, as I think Bob will go through, we've tried to you know, add this addition in a way, and taking advantage of slopes to preserve a lot of the open landscaping that you see from the harbor, you know, and again, to kind of preserve the integrity of the existing single family dwelling, which you know, is to me pretty near perfect as it is. So with that, I'll turn it over to Bob. If you're able, are you able to share it, or are you having some?
Yeah, I'm just having some trouble. I'm not used to the WebEx, so let me
If you
just
want,
do
if you want,
that.
Bob,
I think,
okay, there you go. I
okay,
think-
you're seeing that, and I apologize. I got to reopen because I ended up closing the thing that I really wanted to. Anyway, this is, we'll start here. This is the aerial view of the property. And this is can you see my cursor
Yep.
okay?
Yep.
Okay. So this is the main house. It's beautifully landscaped on the hill here. This is the garage with an apartment above it. The garage is relatively new, 1993, I think, Chris. And our proposal is to add to this side of it. And the purpose is to put in exercise and recreation room. And the reason it's going over there is because the house is just not something you can, it doesn't have a basement you can put this stuff in, and it doesn't have, the owners did not want to try to add to it and or make any changes to the house. The real goal was to put this in the most out of the way place possible, and this seems to be the best place for it. So let me open up.
If you need to, I could share the deck and you could just tell me when to flip sides if you want, because I have it open.
I got it right here.
Oh, you got it?
Coming up.
Okay.
Yeah. I hope it's coming up. Oh, Jesus.
No.
I apologize. It's a bunch of windows are opening now.
You want me to switch it
Um,
over to mine?
Yeah, sure.
Why don't I do that? Hold on.
Should I don't know how to stop sharing.
No, it should just switch over. It'll switch over to me. So here, I
Okay,
got it.
there you go. Okay. So, yeah, you'll have to move the cursor around to them.
Yep.
It's up now. So let me just, I apologize, everybody. Let me just take over here. And it's going to be screen one and allow. Okay. So you can see my screen and my cursor?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. So site plan, we are, let me just zoom in, and these were submitted. I think we submitted the site plan and the elevations of the building. Got a little more sort of existing conditions and stuff to show you. But here we have existing garage with cottage or apartment above. So this is the proposed addition. The overall site, I already talked about that. This is the street view. So you can see from here, that's the existing garage there. This view is from further to the north up the street, and this is where the addition will go, behind those trees. This is view of the existing garage. And I think this is just important to see when you're looking at the elevations. We are planning to really do a seamless match of materials, details, etc. The addition will be to the left here behind these trees. One of those trees will come down, but the plan right now with the landscape architect is to keep the rest and then plant, let me see. No, he said the first two near the building will have to come down, and we'll plant others, new ones at that end and at the other end to bookend it. I know also though that you can't consider the vegetation, but so these are just overall views, but let's jump to this is the view from down at the dock, down on the water. Gives you some idea of that from the harbor, what you can actually see. So our addition will be just behind this raised garden here. So these are the elevations. As you can see, we'll have matching all the materials, colors, etc. Entrance is here, and then there is a lower level, and then there's it ends up, because of the grading, it gets pretty tall in the back here. But we are planning to use nice stone materials to match the other stone of the raised garden, and just try to keep it from looking like something that shouldn't be there. I mean, the idea is that and the reason for this door is to have some storage for, garden equipment and possibly waterfront toys. But it's meant to look like an old cellar on an old house. So that's the idea there. And then on the other side, so again, we've got this tall side because of the grades. That's kind of the cards we are dealt. But we are within the the zoning regulations for height. And also you can see we've really tried to keep it subordinate to the existing main part of the garage. So I think that's all. Chris, did I miss anything?
No, I think I think that's a good intro into it, and would welcome
Yeah.
your feedback on this.
Okay, thank you. Darren?
So a couple things. I'm glad you'd stay on this page. So for me, I understand that the cellar door is meant to look old, but it looks discordant to me. It looks like you're trying to have an old door on a building that feels very modern, a modern interpretation of like an Italianate structure. That's just my first reaction to it. The other thing that I would say in the back on that top view, this is something that always just stands out to me is the number of different types of windows. So you have 6/6 on the top and the middle. You have a 6 light underneath that. Then you have a 9 light and then a series of larger doors. If there's a way to make, the doors aside, those 3/3 doors, doors aside, if there's a way to find some consistency with the existing windows on the main block of the garage on that new addition,
Okay.
that would be really great. Because it just looks like you have a bunch of different windows and that design wise, that looks odd to me.
So you're talking about the bay here, the center
No, the
section?
bay, the one on the left side of the bay and the 2 on the right side of the bay and then the one on the
Gotcha.
bottom.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay.
I find the doors fine for the most part because I think it looks like they're 6/6 light with like a top transom or something on that top level.
Those are windows, actually. Sorry.
Yeah, that I don't really have a problem with that. It's the ones on the other side because you have on the main block you have 6/6 and then you have 6 light and then you have a 9 and then you have 3 9 lights on either side of the bays and then on the
Gotcha.
bottom it looks like you have a 12 light.
Yes.
So if you could change that one to 6/6 and the 9 lights to 6/6 or something,
Or-
just to like
Or the 6 light.
yeah, or just the
got it.
6s. Same on that bottom one. You have the 9 lights and then the 6
Yeah.
light.
Yep,
If you
got
could
it.
just kind of make them more harmonious and
Yeah.
kind of consolidate how many different types of windows you're using.
Sure.
I
Yeah,
would
that's
love to
good.
see that.
Good point. I'm a little confused about doors because the only door in this picture is
That's the
this
door
one.
I'm talking about. It feels,
Oh,
for me,
got it.
the building itself feels like a modern interpretation of a mid-19th century Italianate
Yep.
structure. So then
Yep.
seeing a door that feels a little bit older, more medieval looking, it looks very discordant to me. I'd like to see
Gotcha.
that door match the overall design aesthetic of the rest of the building, and the rest of the building is kind of a more modern interpretation of a very Italianate classic scheme. So I'd like to see that door kind of match that kind of vibe.
Got it. All right.
That's it for me.
Jim?
No, I actually like your feedback on that, just to see what that would look like architecturally. Yeah, I'm good with the door on the bottom, but I'd like to see another version like you had mentioned. But I think you
Yeah.
took a great use of the grading. I know this house intimately and I see it by the water a lot in the summer. So I think this fits in and blends in perfectly.
Laura?
Great.
So I'm trying to catch up. So the picture we're looking at, the existing is the left and the 3-story is the new to the right, which is
Right.
facing the water.
Correct.
Bottom picture with the more open doors, that is facing what?
Street.
That's the
The
street.
road.
Harbor Road.
Right here.
Harbor Road.
That's the front.
That's the front.
Oh, so those
Right.
are the garage doors.
The garage doors, they're not
Right.
open, they're wood.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
just-
this
I-
is existing
Got it.
and that's existing.
Okay, so when this was built, the original parts were built in 1993. How would you define the architecture that they used at that point? Was that Italianate or what would you have called it?
I think actually the comment that was made, a modern interpretation of Italianate, is kind of right on because it does have the it has the brackets and the detail, but then these elements of it are just I think it was built um, to fit with the house and yet to stand apart with the vertical board siding and the gray color certainly. So
Right,
I
no,
which
from
I
the
like about it.
driveways, it's so simple from the driveway side.
Yeah,
And from the other side, so nothing is changing on the existing from the water side. That's the way it looks right now.
correct.
Okay. So I think based on understanding that, I agree with Darren's comments of just kind of calming it down a little.
Yeah. You can see the back of the existing right here.
Okay,
So we're just adding kind of below here and out and then, dropping down the hill.
no, and the lines, I mean, again, that's a great picture because looking at it from here, you just see how the lines just kind of, they talk to each other without trying to match.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
I mean, that's an amazing house. I mean, it's
it
incredible.
is.
Mhm.
I agree
That's all
with
I have.
Chris. Lucky to do a little work inside it.
Yeah.
As for me, I definitely agree with the comments that Darren mentioned, that, let's call it the cellar door, really
Yep,
does not fit. And the same thing with the windows. It will be good to coordinate and make everything more harmonious, so.
okay. All right, we can do that.
Any other comments, questions?
No, I mean, I think you also just tucking it in on that side, it was the best option you had, really.
Yeah, I really think, we talked a lot about, it is the most out of the way corner and it's kind of a utility building. But, we didn't want to screw up the rest of it.
And the lot actually helps you a lot, the way it kind of tucks on the hill.
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah, we're able to keep it low and still get some of our program basically, into the basement at the upper side, which then has views on the lower side. So I will admit that there are going to be great views from there, which is partly why we have these big windows, and I will try very hard to make that balance between being able to enjoy the views and also having it fit in with the rest of it.
If there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
So moved. Second.
Okay?
Great.
All in favor? The meeting is ended. Thank you very much
Thank
to
you.
everyone.